Do you ever sense God shifting something inside you when a certain person shows up in your life? Almost like your heart recognizes something before your mind understands it. When God sends the right person, He doesn't just place them in your life randomly. He starts preparing your heart in ways you didn't even know you needed. You begin noticing small changes within yourself, changes that feel unexplainable but deeply meaningful. God moves in places you didn't realize were still wounded, and He brings clarity to areas that used to feel confusing. You begin to recognize that God is not just sending you a person. He is sending you an experience that grows you, heals you, and prepares you. This is where you start seeing signs that His hand is truly involved. And as you pay attention to the way your heart shifts, your spirit begins noticing details you once ignored. 1. Peace you can't explain. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. You notice a calmness inside you that doesn't match your circumstances. This peace shows up even on days when you didn't feel strong enough to hold yourself together. You start realizing that peace is not coming from the other person, but from God preparing your heart for healthy love. It feels like God is gently steadying you so fear doesn't run your life anymore. This is the type of peace that lets you breathe again after years of confusion. You begin waking up without the familiar knot in your stomach. Your thoughts feel slower, softer, and less chaotic than they used to be. You stop replaying worst-case scenarios because God shifts your focus toward what is possible instead of what is broken. You recognize that this peace is not accidental. It is God's confirmation that something in your life is aligning. This peace becomes a sign that God is guiding you into something that will not harm you. You feel your heart opening slowly without fear forcing it shut. You notice that you're not bracing yourself for disappointment the way you used to. You realize that God is calming your fears, so you can receive love instead of running from it. You sense that your heart is safe enough to trust again, even though you once believed it wasn't possible. This peace helps you move differently, think differently, and hope differently. You find yourself reacting with more patience and less panic. Your emotions no longer swing wildly every time something feels uncertain. God is teaching you how to stay grounded, even when your feelings try to rise in fear. You start responding from a place of strength instead of the pain of your past. This peace becomes proof that God is preparing you for something emotionally stable. You feel God calming the storms inside you that you never admitted were there. You start giving yourself permission to believe that love can be safe again. You sense that God is protecting your heart from unnecessary anxiety while preparing you for what's ahead. Your spirit becomes more settled as you realize God is deeply involved in this connection. This peace becomes your confirmation that what God sends will never disturb your spirit. 2. Clarity instead of confusion. For God is not the author of confusion but of peace. You begin noticing that things finally make sense in ways they never did before. Your heart stops wrestling with doubt, and your mind stops creating battles that don't exist. God starts removing the noise that used to cloud your judgment and weigh down your spirit. You feel a calm understanding that helps you see the person in front of you without fear distorting your vision. This clarity becomes a sign that God is giving you the ability to see what is real instead of what you fear. You feel your thoughts slowing down, allowing you to think with wisdom instead of anxiety. You no longer jump to negative conclusions because God is guiding your spirit instead of your past guiding your fears. Clarity shows up through peaceful conversations, steady behavior, and genuine intentions. You recognize that God is highlighting small details you once overlooked, so you can see the truth clearly. This clarity makes room for hope in places where confusion once lived. You sense that God is bringing order to areas of your heart that once felt chaotic. You begin separating emotional triggers from actual red flags because your mind is clearer. You find yourself asking better questions instead of assuming worst-case scenarios. You realize that God is training you to discern truth instead of reacting from insecurity. This clarity helps you build a foundation that confusion could never support. You start trusting what you see instead of second-guessing everything. You recognize consistency as a sign of care instead of doubting it. You stop looking for hidden motives because God is teaching you to identify sincerity when you encounter it. Your spirit becomes calmer as you realize the right person brings understanding, not uncertainty. This clarity gives you confidence to move forward without fear of being misled. You feel God removing the pressure of overthinking that used to keep you stuck. You no longer feel the need to investigate every detail or protect yourself from every possibility. You sense that God is creating space for you to love without constantly checking for danger. Your heart becomes more open as confusion fades and truth takes its place. This clarity becomes a healing gift that prepares you for healthy commitment. You realize that clarity is God's way of confirming that someone aligns with your future, not your fears. You feel confident making decisions because your spirit agrees with your steps. You recognize that God is showing you the difference between emotional chaos and divine direction. You understand that where God is present, confusion cannot survive. This clarity becomes your confirmation that you are moving toward something blessed, not something broken. 3. Healing instead of triggering. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. You begin noticing that the right person brings calm to wounds you never thought would close. Your heart reacts differently now because God is healing it from the inside out. Old triggers lose their power as God replaces fear with understanding. You start responding from a healthier place because you no longer feel threatened by love. This healing is evidence that God is preparing you for a connection that will not reopen old pain. You feel God gently uncovering parts of your heart that you kept hidden for protection. You find yourself talking about things that used to be too painful to mention. Your emotions begin to settle because you feel understood instead of judged. You experience conversations that bring relief instead of shame. This healing becomes a sign of God restoring what life once damaged. You notice that your past no longer shows up in every new moment. You stop assuming that every silence means abandonment. You stop believing that every mistake means rejection. God begins rewriting the emotional patterns that once controlled your reactions. This healing helps you love from a whole place instead of a wounded one. You start seeing the difference between unhealthy intensity and healthy connection. You no longer mistake chaos for passion because God is renewing your perspective. Your heart becomes more stable because the right person supports your healing instead of triggering your pain. You feel God softening the areas that once felt hardened from disappointment. This healing allows you to walk into love without carrying emotional debris from the past. You feel comfort in moments that used to scare you. You can talk about your needs without feeling like a burden. You can express your fears without shutting down. God is showing you that love doesn't hurt when it's handled with care. This healing becomes a testimony that God is restoring your heart for something more meaningful. You realize that healing is one of the biggest signs that God is involved. You see that love feels healthier when God prepares both hearts for it. You understand that healing is not just about feeling better, but about loving better. You notice that the right person gives room for growth, not pressure for perfection. This healing becomes your confirmation that you are being prepared for a love that honors your heart. 4. Emotional safety. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. You start noticing that your heart exhales around the right person. You feel safe being honest because their response is gentle instead of harsh. You sense that God is protecting your emotions by surrounding you with someone who respects them. Your fear of being misunderstood slowly fades as they learn your heart. This emotional safety becomes a sign that God is guarding you through this connection. You no longer feel pressured to hide parts of who you are. You speak with honesty instead of rehearsed defenses. You begin trusting that your feelings will not be dismissed or mocked. You sense that God is creating a safe environment so you can love without fear. This emotional safety feels like God placing a shield around your heart. You feel seen on a level deeper than surface impressions. You no longer shrink yourself to avoid conflict. You find comfort knowing your emotions matter and will be handled with care. You sense that God is teaching you the difference between emotional risk and emotional safety. This safety becomes a foundation for deeper connection. You find it easier to communicate without shutting down. Your thoughts flow freely without fear of rejection. Your heart remains steady even during difficult conversations. You sense that God is helping you break emotional habits that once sabotaged your joy. This emotional safety becomes a gift you never expected to experience. You stop waiting for emotional harm because you no longer expect it. You start believing that healthy love can exist for you, too. You recognize that God is protecting your heart through wise boundaries and gentle interactions. Your emotional world begins to stabilize because safety replaces fear. This emotional safety shows you that God is making room for lasting commitment. You realize emotional safety is one of God's greatest confirmations. You feel secure instead of fragile. You feel understood instead of dismissed. You sense God guiding the connection in a way that honors your spirit. This emotional safety becomes clear proof that God is preparing something healthy, stable, and real. 5. Gentle correction. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. You begin noticing that correction from the right person feels loving, not attacking. You sense that God is using their honesty to help you grow without tearing you down.